Well, friends, today is a first here on the Nourishing Mompreneur podcast. I am sharing my very first interview here on this show, and I'm so excited about that. Okay, so if you know me, you know that I'm a big planner, and bringing guests onto the podcast for valuable conversations has always been in my heart and plans. However, the big question was when? I've had a list of people I've prayed over and I wanted to invite on the show, topics that I had ideas for them to talk about, all kinds of inspiration written down for quite a while. But I've just been sitting on that list and really waiting. Hashtag surrender. Here's the thing. I refuse to do anything outside of God's timing. I don't want to go where He doesn't lead me. I don't want to go anywhere without His presence. I don't want to move outside or ahead of His perfect timing. And I just choose to trust the process, even though it may not be what I want or when I necessarily think is best. So I've just been waiting and waiting for when the right time is, when I've had the peace or the permission to pursue interviews. And I am so excited how He so beautifully and clearly swung open that door to confirm that. Now is the time to begin sprinkling in some beautiful conversations here on the Nourishing Mompreneur podcast. There's so much that we can learn from each other, and I've got some really exciting episodes in the works this year, so stay tuned. But I just wanted to share a little bit of that backstory, just so you know what that looked like, because I really am living out the words that I'm speaking and walking in faith and obedience and in surrender and dreaming, being intentional, making my plans, but letting the Lord ordain my steps and what and when that actually looks like. So I am right there walking that out with you. So if you are a planner like me, or maybe you need some help getting your life together, you are going to love this episode. Either way, we are talking about time management, all kinds of tips for productivity. We're just giving you the permission to dream again. And really now is the perfect time because the first of the year is upon us. And this conversation is going to empower you with the resources to plan and grow for 2022. So take a listen. You're going to love this conversation. I can't wait for you to meet Miss Polly Payne. Welcome back to the Nourishing Mompreneur podcast, where we get encouraged and empowered as we pursue our greatest potential within the walls of our home. Hey mama, my name is Michelle High, and I'm so thankful you're here. Do you feel like your life is good, but something in you feels unfulfilled? Do you feel stuck in the trenches of motherhood, exhausted and working so hard, but feeling like you're getting nowhere? Do you have big dreams you hold in your heart, but you've been living small? Are you motivated for more, but don't have the clarity or the courage to do anything about it? Do you want to discover God's best and see if it's really possible to be an excellent wife, an intentional mother, and be successful in business, all for the glory of God? As a wife of 16 years, a homeschooling mama of 5, and an entrepreneur, I know exactly how you feel, every bit of it. I truly believe that the most important work you will ever do is within the walls of your home, and that there is purpose in every season. If you are a fellow business-minded mama with a heart for home and a love for Jesus, let's process this journey and grow together. Hey friends, welcome to the Nourishing Mompreneur podcast today. In the last few episodes, we talked about how to make the rest of your year the best of your year. We talked about in episode 44 a few weeks back, 3 steps to making progress towards your goals during the busiest time of the year, which is basically upon us now. These are just holiday hacks for purposeful productivity, which we can't get enough of. And then last week in episode 45, we talked about tips to actively choosing joy this Christmas season. Holiday heart sets for flowing in gratitude, peace, and purpose. And today I am super excited to talk to you about planning for the new year. And now is really the time to begin dreaming and praying about 2022. And I couldn't think of anyone better to have on my show than Polly Payne. So thank you so much for joining us today, Polly.
Yay, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. So Polly, if you don't know who she is, I'll just tell you real quick. She's a Southern girl from Alabama. She moved to New York City to pursue her dreams, ended up leaving her successful career in advertising to run Horatio Printing and to share her dream planner with the world. Now, if you don't know what the dream planner is, we'll tell you all about that later on. But She has sold over 35,000 dream planners around the world. And what's so cool is that in the process, she has raised over $65,000 to fight human trafficking through her partnership with A21. So thank you so much for joining me today, Polly. And I just wanted to ask, is there anything else that you'd like to add? We just really want to get to know you better.
Yeah, well, I am, let's see, a little bit about me. Now I'm living in Lookout Mountain, Georgia. So that's where I've landed now. And since starting Horatio, I've moved into the season of motherhood. I have a 2-year-old daughter named Jane and a little baby boy on the way that'll be here before you know it. I think it's like the countdown's like 50 or 60 days left, which is just wild. But I really have a passion for helping people take control of their time. I believe our time is one of the most precious gifts we're given. And life is very much like a quick current, especially the Christmas season. My spiritual director, Amy Brady, likens it to a flowing river. And it's like as soon as you dive into that current, it can really just sweep you away if we're not intentional with carving out time to rest or to sit with the Lord. And what's been kind of on my heart lately is, life in general will sweep us away. There's seasons of life where we're on a lazy river and things are pretty chill. And there's seasons of life where we're in like really hard rapids and there's forks in the road and we don't know up from down, and it can be scary, or we don't know what's around the corner. And I don't know what kind of season you're in as you're listening to this, but it's very easy for life to get a little fast paced and to feel out of control. And so that's why I'm really passionate about helping people craft a plan of who they are becoming. I think that's the biggest dream we can have, is to become who we're called to become. And so I'm passionate about helping people create that life plan and get a vision, catch a vision for who they want to become, so that you can become that person and have the impact that God has for you. So we all have that itching feeling like there's got to be more. There's got to be more for me, or I feel like there's something else I'm missing. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at and what I love helping people to do.
That's amazing. Yeah, it made me think of that quote. I reference it often, I feel like, but the journey is the destination.
Mm.
So many times we're working towards something and we're going towards the goal or the next event or the next holiday or the next birthday party, and we're just in this rush, but really it's all the in between. It's the everyday life. It's the slivers of time that are most meaningful, and we get to create what our life is going to be like and who we're going to become in that process. And that's the most meaningful part, because the journey is that destination, and we don't want to forget, lose perspective of that in the midst of our movement forward, or the flow or the current forward, because life is so busy. And I don't know about you, but like, I have never met a mom that's just not busy. Everybody's
Yeah.
busy looks different, but everybody's
Yeah.
so busy. So I feel like time management is just always golden to talk about,
Hmm.
especially with moms that do have it in their heart, a desire for more. They want to pursue their greatest potential, and they really have that ambition and that drive to not only be an excellent wife and a mother, but do pursue those goals or those dreams, or that business or side hustle, whatever that looks like for them. But I guess one question I wanted to ask you was, I was curious how you became so passionate about this. How did you become passionate about time management and planning and helping others achieve their God-sized dreams? Is this something that you always have loved and had interest in? Or is this something that, how did you get this desire and this,
That's a good question. I think I first discovered it for myself because I created the dream planner really and truly for me. I was in a place where I kind of, back to the, I guess the comparison of life being a river, I kind of washed up on a bank in my life. It was like, how did I get here? And I know we've all kind of been there, where you wash up onto a bank, the river rapid kind of spits you out in life, and you're like, what happened? Like, how did I get so overweight, or how did I get so broke, or how am I so unhealthy right now? And I was in a place in my life where outwardly I was very successful. I had a very successful sales career. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of things I was doing. I was living it up in New York City, and but I was just so unhealthy in my spirit, in my heart, in my relationships, and in my excess of just going out and like the lifestyle I was living. And I heard this sermon by Erwin McManus, who is the author of The Artisan Soul. And so I picked up his book, and one night I started to read it, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to read this book so I can go to bed, you know? And oh my gosh, I was up for hours devouring it because he just spoke to my heart and told me, you are an artist because you're created in the image of God. He's an artist. Because of that, your life is your most important canvas. Your life is the most important work of art you ever can create. And it's up to you to create it. It's not like life is just going to happen to you. Like, you have to take control. You have to pick up the paintbrush. And he said to make a list of all your distractions, create an exit strategy, and execute it. At that point, I had a lot of distractions, and I listed them out in a bubble chart and everything that was going on in my life. And I realized there was big things I needed to sever from. I needed to stop doing. I needed to take a break from. And so I decided, okay, if I'm going to get my life together, I need a planner. And so I really committed that night to make a planner. That was in August of 2014. And then by October, we launched Horatio Printing.
Mm.
And so that was a really quick birth of a dream. You know, normally give birth, you think like 9 months. Like, we really sped it up. I had two designers, interns at my company that I brought on quickly. And I had been chewing on the idea of starting a business for years. I already had like an idea, and I'd actually worked with those same interns to come up with a wireframe for a mobile app. And then I had an idea for a planner company, but it was way more uh, just holistic. Like, it was very much like, create whatever you want, depending on who you are. You want some Bible verses in there? Great. You want, you know, the mom stuff in there? Great. You want the fitness stuff in there? Great. Like, it was this build your own. And I said, no, I am making a Christian planner. It's only for Christians, and it's going to be exactly what I need right now. And so I did that for me, and I birthed it, and it felt so amazing to finally create something. It was just very fulfilling. And then that year we sold 1,000 of them, and I started emailing customers, what have you accomplished, or what's happened? And people started sharing these testimonies of, I finally launched my business, or I finally took that trip, or I just accomplished a dream, went on a holy tour, whatever it was. And as I started hearing these testimonies rolling in, it was like so addicting and like life-giving. I used to joke because I had Horatio as a side hustle for many years, or for a year and a half. It felt like many years. And when I would open up my work inbox, it was like womp womp. And when I'd open up Horatio Printing's inbox, it was like butterflies flew out, because I would get these wonderful, sweet emails from people in the Horatio Printing family. And anyways, so I just kind of got into that. It was just became so much fun. People started reaching out to share their dreams. And after that, I created the dream planning parties. I created like a hosting packet. And the first year that I just kind of made that a free resource, 200 people hosted dream planning parties in their homes.
That's
And
amazing.
invited people, I mean, from anywhere, ever from like Paris, South Africa. Like, it was global. It was amazing. And at this event, you would just create a bucket list, do a soap Bible study, do a praise report, and everyone would share their dreams. And it was very kind of short thing you could do over like brunch. And that was really fun. I would host them in New York. And then that has since evolved into our Dreamer Summit, which this will be the second year of that being virtual. And so now I'm really into it. That's kind of where I've found myself and found my deepest, I think, fulfillment.
That's so awesome. I love how, life and business, it's always evolving. And it's just neat to see how one step of obedience, of faith, of courage leads to the next thing. And just to see how God is so faithful in all of that. And yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so since we're talking about the dream planner, tell us a little bit more about the dream planner, what it is, how it works, how would you use it successfully? Like how can somebody like me, like a really busy mom, she's probably working from home, she's might be homeschooling her kids or she's got many kids, whatever. She's just juggling all the things as a wife, as a mom. She also has dreams she holds in her heart and she's working hard, she's pursuing those dreams. She's doing that side business. She's developing something great. She's leading a team. She's just got a lot of irons in the fire, but she's just struggling with that feeling always of, you know, too much to do and not enough time. I think we all sometimes feel that way. And just without making sacrifices that she would regret, how can she use the dream planner to be more intentional and to get organized, especially as she's thinking ahead even about this upcoming new year?
Yeah, so I have a lot to say on that topic. But I think what's important about the planner, it's not just a place to put your appointments and your to-dos. It's great for that. Like that's a great place to put it. I know a lot of people use Google Calendar. I'm a fan of doing a hybrid model of having your appointments and things you're scheduling with people on a digital calendar, sharing that with your spouse. Everyone's on the same page. But what I love my analog paper planner for is the canvas section in the front. It's a space for you to really sit down and go, what are the desires of my heart? God, what have you laid on my heart? What passions have you given me? What gifts have you given me? And then really mapping out, who do I want to become? What cup in my life is so empty? Is it my physical life? Is it my marriage? Is it my motherhood? Is it financial? Is it physical, spiritual, personal? Is it my home? Like, where is the gas tank on empty? And then from there, you assess how you're doing. Why did you give yourself that assessment? And you move forward to create a specific fundamental needs that you can follow and add into your week to help you become who you're called to become. Because here's the thing about dreams and the dreams you have in your heart. In order to fulfill the dreams, and more importantly, to sustain a big dream, you have to become who you're called to become. Without the becoming, it's going to be really hard to not burn out with those dreams or even let those dreams become an idol. Because dreams can become an idol if it becomes too big and the priority is too high in your life. And so the becoming, it kind of keeps you grounded of like all the irons you have in the fire, if that makes sense. So that's really important. I think it just helps to like reset, refocus. There's also special sections of heart check of who do I need to forgive, what fears are holding me back, a section to plan out your intentional generosity, who you're going to be sowing into and encouraging that season. And another great feature that I love is every 3 months you do a seasonal check-in. How am I doing in all these areas? What's the empty cup? And what are my going to be my fundamental needs for the next quarter? So it's got these great check-ins. It also has praise reports every month. But that's kind of what makes it special. And it's a place for you to really think about your personal growth, because unless we really pour into ourselves, we're going to be, pouring out of an empty cup. And so that's where I would encourage you to focus and invest in yourself. We're going to get together at the Dreamer Summit and fill out our planners together. And I think that's one of the big things is you can buy a planner, but unless you schedule the time to use it and you make a plan to use it, it's just going to collect dust. And like we've all done that. We've all bought planners and then like used them for a week and like not use them anymore. And so setting it up and doing that work at the front of the year is really important. And then having some sort of weekly routine where you check in and look at your week and you add in those key things to fill your empty cup in whatever area of your life that you are feeling the most discouraged in, and making that a priority to pump up your tires in that space. And which one has the flat tire? Because all things are connected. If your financial life is really struggling, that's going to affect your marriage. It's going to affect every other part of your life, right? So doing that key growth work is just really important.
Yeah, it really is. I agree with that 100%. I started the podcast and I thought in the beginning I would talk a lot of just more tactical, strategic things. And we do talk about all that where it's really practical. You can apply it to your life, but it's really gone in a direction that's so much more about mindset and heart set and biblical perspective, because those are the things that allow us to do the things
Mm-hmm.
who we are, we have to do out of being. We have to first be who we're called to be and do out of that place. We need to sit at the
Mm-hmm.
feet of Jesus and work out of his presence and partner with him. But it really starts with that. And so I truly believe in doing the inner work. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about business and entrepreneurship and just pushing yourself in those things is that you cannot grow a business without growing yourself. I know that being a stay at home mom, raising your kids, sometimes it's easy to just kind of get in a funk. But if you're actually pursuing a goal or a dream or a business, you can't be in a funk. You can't stay stuck. You have to push yourself to grow. So I love that entrepreneurship lights the fire to get that process going of self-development. And I learned immediately, wow, if I'm going to do something outside of my already busy life while keeping my priorities and my sanity and all of that, I've got to learn to manage my time well. So
Mm-hmm.
jumping into business as a wife and a mom, it puts you into a deep dive of time management and trying to learn those ropes. And so over the past few years, I've really always tried to just get better and better, reevaluate, do this, do that. And in 2020, when I was in one of my busiest seasons ever, juggling multiple businesses and in the midst of COVID and all the things, I had to get super focused, hyper focused and organized. And I needed to evaluate what is necessary, what has to be done, and what is also going to be nourishing for me, what's going to keep me healthy, what is going to, at the end of the day, if nothing else gets done, I'm going to feel at peace and fulfilled. What are the most important things to me? Just like you talked about mentioning fundamental needs. Those are the things that are nourishing. And then there's things that are necessary and just getting a clear perspective on that. So through that process, I really worked to kind of hone in a groove and a plan and a schedule that worked well for me. Well, after the fact, I came across your planner and I was like, oh, I haven't had a paper planner, a book like that in a while. And so I purchased it and I just love it because everything that I've learned really the hard way on my own, it
Mm-hmm.
perfectly meshes and fits right into everything that you've created. So it is a tried and true system and plan, even when you don't have children yet, or even when maybe you're not married yet, or whatever season of life. It's something that crosses all those barriers because you can take it and paint your canvas, like you said, and apply it to your needs, whatever those look like. And a few things I'll just tell you because I know you're not looking at it and you might not know what we're talking about, but you will because it is absolutely beautiful. Trust me, you're going to get this thing and you're going to hold it in your hands. By the way, the packaging, when I opened the box, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Such an experience. And I love that. I'm all about the experience and the way something makes you feel, very thoughtfully put together. But it's so beautiful. It's clean. It's classy. It's almost like you don't want to write in it and mess it up. But what I really like about it is what Polly was mentioning. It gives you, it's not just an intentional planner, but it actually coaches you through how to plan. It actually trains you in how to plan and how to go through that process. And I really also cherish the fact that there's scripture on each page. It's just a beautiful thing to meditate on and have available right as you are looking to check in for the day. So it is a beautiful thing, and we'll give you more details on that too here in a few minutes. But another question I had for you is just, what are some tips that you have on helping somebody be more productive? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I want to give a shout out to Chelsea Joe from the Systemize Your Life podcast because she has been training people to use my planner, and she's the one that came up with the fundamental needs system. And so this year I brought her into the planner, and so she teaches the fundamental needs system. And in the planner there are QR codes that take you to videos so you don't have to go it alone. So I do have to give a shout out to Chelsea Joe because I did not come up with that on my own, and it has changed my life. But in terms of productivity, I think one of my favorite hacks, which this can be tricky with kiddos at home, but it is one of my favorite hacks, is the Pomodoro Method. Are you familiar?
I'm not.
Okay, so the
And again, what's
Pomodoro
it called?
Method Pomodoro Method.
Oh,
Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. And
okay.
the guy,
Now
I
we're
think the
talking.
guy that I
I
think the
see it
guy
on the
that made
menu.
it, yeah, I think the guy that made it up was using a tomato timer, like one of those old school timers that looks like
Mhm.
a little tomato. And so the Pomodoro Method is you sit down with a very specific task. Like maybe you're writing a book or a devotional or something. And so, you've been struggling to write. Let's say that's the example. And so what you do is you schedule out 3 25-minute sessions in your planner, in your day. So you'd sit down for 25 minutes and you set your timer and you would just write. And in the Pomodoro Method, you can have no distractions. So, airplane mode as much as possible, phones in the other room. If you're at an office and someone barges into your room or comes to your cubicle, your response is, I have 17 minutes left. When I'm done with this, I'll come get you. But the point is you try not to be interrupted in that time. And then after 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. That's when you check your phone, turn it back on, or take a lap, stand up, get the blood flowing to your head, and then you go back into a 25-minute session. And you do that 3 times in a row. And after 3 in a row, you take like at least a 15 or 20-minute break, walk outside, call somebody, whatever your break looks like, right? So that has been super helpful. Setting a timer. I know that's helpful too with like cleaning. Like, okay, let's just set a timer and clean for 10 minutes. With things, if things are very daunting, it's good to just do with short spurts. And when I started implementing the Pomodoro Method, I was finally getting to stuff that I had been pushing off for months. There's that thing that you like never get to,
Yeah.
and it's like you keep crossing it off, putting it on the next day or the next week. And so when I did that, it was like, okay, just research it for 25 minutes. Because like I said, that thing you didn't want to look up, or it was just like, oh, I've never done it before. I know it's going to be so hard. And like you just put it off. That has been super helpful for me.
That's
Um,
really, really good. And I actually
mhm,
teach the kids that a little bit too, because for example, they go to do the dishes and they'll drag it out forever. It's like set the
mhm,
timer for 20 minutes, ready, set, go. Focus, let's get it done. Let's work with excellence. Let's make it happen. And I think
mhm.
because in that slow uh pace and that lack of focus, really that's where we get distracted. So I really love that tip for productivity is when you have a task at hand, or maybe it's just the thing that you don't want to do, or the scary thing, or just I don't know, whatever it looks like, it's almost being aware of the time and setting that timer, like ready, set, go, and just
Yeah.
giving it all you got during that time, knowing that it's a very short window, but you can focus in and give it your full attention.
And you'll find that we have all of these innate addictions or like habits built in. Like we've got this like reach for the phone, and we've got this like go to Facebook habit, and this go to the Gmail habit and check, like in a 25-minute span, you sitting down at your desk, you could check your phone 5 times. Your iWatch can go off. Like you could get alerts on your computer. You could check your email a couple times. And your goal was to sit down and do the task, right, that you had. But the Pomodoro Method, the point is you don't do any of that. Sometimes you literally have to take your watch off or put your phone in another room and turn off all alerts. And you'll make a mistake the first time you do it, because you'll accidentally like it's like a reflex to go to that website or whatever you do. And so unlearning those reflexes is a critical piece to productivity, because we have them built in without even knowing it. And that's really what steals our time, is because we just do this loop of like, okay, check in on it used to be instant messenger or
Yeah.
whatever, but we check in all these places, or our DMs. Oh, I wonder if anyone's DM me, and that is just this big long thing where you could check that twice a day, but we have such a reflex to check it that like we do it without thinking. And so that's what's been helpful, is like having this really strategic time. This is the one thing that I'm doing,
I
and
love
that's
that.
it.
And I love how it really clears up your headspace, because I think that's
Hmm.
so precious too. Our energy and all those little distractions, they zap our energy away from us. They distract us and they clutter our brain. And so whenever you're just focused on one thing, you kind of set your mind at ease where you don't have 20 tabs open. in your brain, you can focus in on one thing and then close that tab and move on to the next. And I know it's not a perfect process because, life happens, but I do love that. And I love, it's kind of that idea too, just transitioning even in time blocking, when you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
just taking a time, giving it a designated purpose and function, and you're
Exactly.
all in on that thing. And then you can kind of shift from thing to thing. It really helps you be more productive and just keep it together so you don't feel, even if it's just mentally spread so thin, because when you're spread so thin, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, it's fight or flight, So it helps us emotionally. I think as women, we have to be really aware of our emotional state, our mental state, because it really feeds into who we are. And again, it's
Yeah.
all about who we are is going to affect what we do in response. And so
Mm-hmm.
we really want to
And
focus on that.
And back to that analogy of a river, these reflexes of checking your phone or getting on social media, like that's a current, and we can like, I don't know if you've ever been on a TikTok current. Those of you listening, if you've been on TikTok, you've been in a current because I downloaded it for a little bit. It was like you scroll, and then all of a sudden you wake up on this bank of like, how did I get here? Like, I just, like, where did that 30 minutes go? Oh my goodness. Or on Instagram, you hop in, you had some sort of reason, or it was just a reflex. And then all of a sudden you are absorbing comparison, or you're absorbing jealousy, or you're shopping for something and looking for your wallet, or all of a sudden you end up on this bank of contentment or bitterness or anger or sadness. And it's because you're absorbing things, and that can really let your life and your day make a wrong turn down the river.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so critical that we know where we're going for the day. We've got our intentions set, and sometimes we have to do really strong boundaries. My friend Stephanie Gass, she really challenged me to delete all my apps on Fridays and re-download them on Mondays. And it was like the first weekend I did it, it was like my reflex was like going to my phone.
Mhm.
But then at the 24-hour mark, I felt like I was on a vacation and I was just living my life. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
And so I'm slowly working on those boundaries, but these reflexes are just so built in to steal our time because our eyeballs are their commodity that they're selling, because they want to show you ads, because obviously the platform's free. So like your attention is their commodity. So they're doing everything they can to keep it. And that's why the platform refreshes like a slot machine, because that's the most addictive thing we can have. And TikTok is like the most slot machine style. But if you go to the top of Facebook and, kind of pull the bar down, you're going to get some new content, right? And so I think just learning that and being aware of it is like the first step. But figuring that out for yourself, like, have you been going down those currents, and is that stealing time that you need to pursue your dreams, or you need to um, give to your children or give to yourself, right? So
So good.
mhm,
And I think it's important to remember too, it's the little things that matter. Life is made up of a lot of little things.
mhm,
The little people, the little things, they're the big things in life. I think one day at the end of our lives, we'll realize that the big things were the little things. And those slivers of time in between, we've got to seize them, or social media is going to steal them from us. And so
mhm.
I love the idea, like you said. I mean, we could talk a million productivity tips. I know you could go
Yeah,
on all day, but just I'm thinking of the one takeaway is just maybe setting the timer and focusing in, using that time block strategy where you're giving 100%, working with excellence, and really just keeping your mental emotional state clear as you work on one thing before you shift to the other things. And a huge thing to do that is to protect your peace by protecting your eyes and all the distractions. And a huge one is social media. So I would say for everybody listening, as we enter the holidays, as the season gets busier, as the pull and the draw of social media is more enticing than ever. I mean, the ads are going to start rolling in. You don't need to do your Christmas shopping on social media. You can do that elsewhere. Like, it is just that the magnet of social media is about to intensify like never before. You need to decide now to set your boundaries and to protect your peace so that you can focus in and still make progress towards your goals, not only now to the end of the year, but you need to begin creating the space to dream for 2022, to partner with the Lord, to be praying about what He has for you. What is your heart for me, Lord? And I just love this conversation because I think it's so timely. I know it seems early, like a lot of you are probably like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to get through today, or I can't even think to next week, or I don't even want to talk about Christmas right now, let alone the new year. But the reality is that now is the time to begin just creating space in your heart and mind to begin praying about that. And like I said, asking those good questions and opening yourself up to dream again and to dream about what the Lord has for you in the future. So let me ask you one more question. How do you incorporate God into your business?
Oh, that's a good question. So obviously my products are faith-based. They have scriptures. We sell Bible studies. But in terms of bringing him in, I believe, scripture says that your business is God's business. And so we're called to bring him into every area and really examine what does God say about sales and marketing. I believe customer service is a ministry, and that's why with every inquiry or email, we want to leave people better than we found them. And so loving on people, encouraging them, that's one of the key things that we share is motivation and encouragement based on biblical truth. So I put out an email every Monday called the Monday Morning Motivation, and usually that's tied to scripture. And yeah, it's just about loving on people and encouraging them and helping them create habits and giving them resources to deepen their faith and their walk with God. So one of the resources that we came out with is our SOAP Bible studies, which SOAP stands for Scripture, Observation, Application, and Prayer. And so it's a really quick and simple way to read the Bible and, more importantly, apply it to your life. And I've divided these Bible studies into seasons of life. So each Bible study has 5 seasons in it. The volume 1 has a season of purpose, a season of wisdom, a season of anxiety, a season of transition, and a season of joy. So if you're like, I'm in a season of transition, you can choose your own adventure, go to that section, journal out what you want to hear from God, where you're at. There's a little prayer for you. And then it's a 14-day journey through the Bible with scriptures pulled out that have to do with transition, that would encourage someone in transition. And so that's been really powerful. That's been something that we created, and it's become a seed that's been planted in people who maybe wanted to read the Bible, didn't really know where to start. It's just a great place to kind of jump in, especially when your time is limited, and it's easy to go, well, if I don't have an hour, I don't have an hour. But just taking 15 minutes and having that heart posture of saying, I'm here, God, let's do this. So that's been really cool to hear people's journey of falling in love with reading the Bible. Mm-hmm. And so obviously passionate about that. And he's my consultant, my most important consultant. He's definitely a lifesaver. We've had so many miracles happen in our company with huge problems, and God brings the miracle. The battle belongs to him, or he just brings the manna from heaven. And so I don't know how people have businesses without him, to be quite honest. I'm like, I don't know how anyone, it would not be a company without it being, having God in on it.
I love that. I love that as a kingdom entrepreneur. I think the perspective is that, God is in everything, and business is simply an opportunity to create to make a greater impact, to reach people. Mm-hmm. To make a difference, to spread light and love in the gospel. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you're aware of that and you're on mission with that. And you just keep that in perspective. So I love that so much. I think that's so valuable. And as you sit down and begin to plan and dream for this next year, remember that it is a straight up business meeting with the Lord. Like the Holy Spirit is with you and you just want to ask him about everything. But as you ask him about everything, it's really helpful to have kind of a tool, a resource to help you navigate that process rather than just sit down with a blank sheet of paper and be like, all right, Lord, like, what do we write down? How do I actually not only meet with you and hear from you, but organize my life in a way that's going to honor you, in a way that's going to grow my business and push me towards my goals. But first and foremost, it's going to honor you and the goal and the purpose that you have me on. Because we want to be women that live on mission. We want to be kingdom entrepreneurs that are bringing his kingdom to earth in all that we say and all that we do and in who we are. And so I love your dream planner for a resource for that. We've been talking about this off and on. I'm just where can we get the dream planner? Actually, I'll tell you where you can get the dream planner. If you guys want this dream planner, if you want to see what it looks like and get a real visual of it, it's so beautiful. The 2022 dream planners are out and you can head over to, let me pull up this link here. It is bit.ly/nourishing dream planner. Go to Nourishing Dream Planner, bit.ly/Nourishing Dream Planner. It's going to take you straight to the page where you can get your own dream planner. If you want to get 10% off, use the code Nourish10. You'll get 10% off that dream planner as you begin to plan for the year. So, hey, perfect time to get it. Put it on your Christmas list. I think it'll be amazing. But yeah, that'll be awesome. Do you have, Polly, what final thoughts do you have? Really just for the mom, as far as anything, as far as helping her make her dreams come true for 2022. She's juggling so much. How can she actually press on towards her goals as a busy mom, as a wife, working and spinning all the plates and making progress in the midst of all that? There's just so many things that we juggle as moms and we want to honor God, but do you have any final thoughts on just helping a mom be more productive, be more purposeful, walk more fulfilled and honoring of the Lord in that?
Well, when it comes to pursuing your dreams, I just want to remind you that like your dreams aren't selfish. I think that's something we kind of get hung up on. And as moms, just even the idea of taking time for yourself, right? We can really neglect us and lose our who we are in that season when the life currents get crazy. And so I just want to remind you that like the dreams you have aren't selfish. Now if you're like, well, I don't know if this dream's from God or if this is a selfish dream. And I think that if you have that question, you should pray for confirmation, for God to confirm your dream. But also you could look at the condition of your heart. A healthy you will have healthy dreams. A toxic you will have toxic dreams. Selfish you will have selfish dreams. Idol obsessed person will have idol obsessed dreams, for example. So that's a great litmus test that I've learned, because people come to me all the time like, I don't know if my dream's in the will of God. But if you have a dream for your life, I just want to remind you it's not selfish to go after it. If anything, I've found that often our dreams are much bigger than what we initially thought possible, and they often, a God dream is much bigger than you, right? It's about the impact. Like your obedience will unlock breakthrough for the other people in your life. And so I just want to encourage you to be obedient to the dreams that God's given you. He's the dream giver. That's who he is.
I love that.
And so I want you to just be obedient because there's people on the other side of your obedience that's waiting for whatever it is you have to give or provide. And it could just be like you getting healthy, right? You taking time to work on your fitness. That is that's going to impact your kids and the future generations behind you, right? Like the example you set, or just being around to be for them, be there. And so your dreams aren't selfish, and you absolutely need to take time to clarify what they are, set intentions, understand why you're doing it, and then create a schedule that allows you to actually flourish with them.
Awesome. I love that. That's amazing advice. I think one of the things that I pray often all the time in my own personal life and would encourage anybody listening to pray is just like, God, make my desires your desires. Give me your heart. Give me your eyes to see, your ears to hear, and your heart to obey. I want to see things the way you see things. I want your desires to be my desires. And I think that if we pursue that, he will guide us and our desires will be in perfect alignment with his will. So that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Polly, where can everybody connect with you?
So you can connect with me over at the Dream Planning Podcast, all things dream planning over there. I also do a little bit of business coaching and Bible study as well, and interview dreamers. And you can also find everything over at HoracioPrinting.com. That's HORACIO printing.com. And then my academy, where I help people really dive deep into who they're becoming, is at the website thedreamerinyou.com.
Awesome. I love that. And again, if you want that dream planner, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can access that, get the 10% off. One last thing, give us a little bit more. You mentioned the Dreamer Summit. I know that's coming up. If these women want to get their dream planner, this is the perfect thing to do. This is the perfect time, honestly. This is the time.
Oh, yeah.
Order it today, get this planner in, and you will be ready for this Dreamer Summit. So explain to them what is coming up.
So the Dreamer Summit is a 3-day virtual event. It's amazing. We have such an incredible lineup of speakers. We've got Allie Worthington, Dawntree Wilkerson, Elise Murphy, Tony Collier, and of course we have Michelle. I'm excited. Michelle's going to be leading a breakout on personal growth. And so at this event, we're going to fully fill out our planner. We're going to create a personal growth plan. You're really going to walk away encouraged. And what's great is your whole planner will be filled out before Christmas wildness. Like, we'll be done on December 5th. And imagine having your whole planner, all your dreams and intentions set for January, and you're done. Like, you're done. Like, you can just enjoy the rest of December. So highly recommend you come to that. Bring a friend. You can host a watch party. I have some friends that literally, like, moms will go off together and get an Airbnb and do like a staycation and do the summit in their Airbnb. So do what you want with that. Just make the time to make it an immersive experience for you. You can use Michelle's code Nourish10 to get 10% off your ticket. And when you get the ticket, you'll have a full unlimited replay to all of the sessions. So you can watch it whenever you want. If you want to do the summit over New Year's Eve weekend, you can do it then. So you can watch it as you want.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. That is beautiful. I literally like got, I guess that shows how much of a planner and, like, I don't know. I love organization. I'm a list person. My son the other day was like, Mom, you have a lot of lists in your phone. And you know what's nice too, is I think with technology, we're so used to using our phone for a list and to-do lists. I know I do that too, but there is something beautiful and special about writing it out, putting it on paper, touching it in your hand. And we miss out on that a lot because of our technological savvy world. And again, it's not one is right or wrong, but I think there is something really precious about having a planner in your hands and actually sitting there and slowing down and writing things out. So I just would encourage you guys, let's pursue what's possible in 2022. Let's partner with the Lord first. And this is the time. Let's start dreaming and planning right now. And Polly has so much, not just resources like the planner we've been talking about, like the summit, but there's so much support, because again, it's really about doing that inner work and feeling encouraged and empowered in the process. And we are all in process, and we need to be intentional on our journey. And this is kind of the mission that Polly's on and Horatio Printing. So I would encourage you guys just to connect with her and let her be that cheerleader on the sideline to help you on your journey to be the best that you can be and to honor God in the process. So thank you, Polly, so much. I love this conversation, and I'm just thankful for your time today.
Yay, thanks for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Before you go, I wanted to make sure that you heard the news. I know we shared so many great tools and resources today on the show, and I wanted to add a few goodies to that list. I want to encourage you, as always, in your journey of surrender. And this season, I just want to remind you that there is so much joy to be found as you make your plans, but trust God to ordain every step and every detail. So I have created some free Joy of Surrender printables. You are gonna love these beautiful Christmas inspired cards. They have inspiring quotes on them, Bible verses. They're just perfect to print and keep handy as reminders or even as giving as gifts. You can use them as bookmarks, post them to your mirror, share them with others, however you want to use them. They are just an awesome way to stay focused. And so all you need to do is head over to nourishingmichelle.com, download these gorgeous Joy of Surrender cards. If you're already on the email list, you'll have them right in your inbox. So go look for that and check that out. They just came out. And I also want to say that in my shop over at nourishingmichelle.com, my son has created some super cute, one-of-a-kind Joy of Surrender Christmas ornaments. These are so cute and so beautiful. They're made from the lid of a wide mouth mason jar. So they're classy and elegant, but also rustic. So if you have like even a farmhouse style, you'll love them. But really for everyday look to a seasonal look, there's two different looks. They're double-sided, so you can choose which look that you like, but it's one ornament. You can also save money and buy a 6-pack. But anyways, you got to check these out. They're super cool. My son is making these. This is his little entrepreneurship project this season. And I'd love for you to support him by grabbing a few to hang on your Christmas tree or to give to others. What a beautiful reminder they are that there is joy in surrender and in giving God our yes.
If you like Mama So, please leave a review.
Hey Mama, real quick before you run off and do all the things, if you found value in today's conversation, it would mean the world to me if you left a review and subscribed to my podcast. I know you know how precious time is. The biggest thank you can give me for taking the time to share on this podcast is to leave a written review. This helps me on my mission to encourage and empower others who are pursuing their greatest potential from home. So head over to iTunes, scroll down to the bottom of the Nourishing Mompreneur podcast to rate and leave a super quick review to let me know what spoke to your heart. And if you're feeling a little extra today, take a screenshot of today's episode and tag me on social. I value your time so much and appreciate you connecting with me. Find me at nourishingmichelle.com/connect.